Let's bring in Ray Ratto, who covers the Warriors, NBC Sports Bay Area. Hi, Ray. How are you?
That's none of your business.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Starting off on a
Glad to
good
help.
note. Did
Middle of the night here.
did that represent the mood of the Golden State Warrior fans, that response I just got? None of your business?
No, I think they're absolutely baffled because they have been led to believe, and properly so, that the Warriors are playing the basketball of the future, when in fact the thing that's bringing them down, rather than this player not doing well or that player being injured, is that they are losing to the basketball of a decade ago. They got 72 shot attempts last night, which is not only the lowest of the season, but their fourth lowest in 4 years. They're not passing the ball very well or very often. And the reason is that Houston, which is the team that everybody likes to characterize as a team that doesn't play any defense, has basically been choking them off from doing anything they want to do. They're not comfortable at all. And I think that's the takeaway here, is that Houston has basically gone away from the thing that you think of Houston as being, and now they're like the Spurs of 2007. And I think that's why people are confused. They're going, wait a minute, we're the vanguard of the future. Why are we losing to the basketball of the past?
Explain Kevin Durant, his performance so far in this series. Because he can be baffling. He can be unbelievable, and then he can be invisible.
I think there is a part of him, and this is dime store psychology, so I know you'll really appreciate it. When things get discombobulated offensively, as they have been for the Warriors in much of this series, he takes it upon himself to save what is essentially an ensemble team from its own best instincts. And when he does that, the offense tends to stagnate, and then he becomes easier to defend. Yes, he puts up numbers, but they're not really efficient numbers, and they don't really make the team better because they become more him-centric. It's not that he's a greedy player. It's that he tries too much to help. And as a result, an offense that is built on ball movement and almost sort of an egalitarian view of what offense should be becomes very much isolation ball. And he's merely the most obvious example of it.
What do you expect to happen in this next game?
Well, first you have to tell me if Chris Paul's playing. Secondly, you have to tell me if Houston can even play with Chris Paul at 60% rather than the 80% he's been at. I think that's the answer to Game 6. If he is not effective, I mean, that's 40 minutes from a seven-man team. If he's not effective, the Warriors win Game 6, and then I think Houston probably wins Game 7 because the home team is running rampant in this whole postseason.
Who's going to take the heat if Golden State doesn't go to the NBA Finals?
Everybody. The presumption all year is that Golden State is a dynasty with everything but the series of rings. And they've been the prohibitive favorite all along. I think there are a lot of people in the country who still think they are dramatically the better team, but they've run into a Houston team that gives them everything they can possibly want and more. And I think everybody's going to get it. I think Steve Kerr will get it. I think Kevin Durant will get it. I think Stephen Curry will get it. I think Draymond Green will get it. I think it's going to be across the board because when a team that everyone figured would cakewalk to a championship doesn't even get to the final, everybody gets their share.
Could it be a good thing for Golden State?
I think in one way, maybe this teaches them how to play when they're uncomfortable, because that's the one thing they've never really had to do during this run. The only other team that forced them to play a style they didn't want to play for any appreciable amount of time was Memphis in 2015. And they ended up winning 2 of the first 3 games before the Warriors made an adjustment and, basically left Andrew Bogut to guard nobody, and they left Tony Allen unguarded, and Memphis couldn't figure out what to do with that and got run out in 6. But that is the only time that they really were faced with a style they couldn't cope with very well. In 2016, they lost twice big in Oklahoma City, but that was playing a style that they're more comfortable with, and they were able to turn it around. But this is a tribute to Mike D'Antoni and Jeff Bzdelik, their defensive coach, basically figure out how to make the Warriors uncomfortable, and they haven't done well with it.
How quickly do the Bay Area fans move on to the 49ers if Golden State drops out?
Well, in a nation full of front runners, we are always on the medal stand. I would imagine about 2 or 3 days. There'll be one day where they go out to the parade that doesn't happen, and then they'll start getting stuck into OTAs.
Is there a chance, though, Ray, we've greatly overrated Jimmy Garoppolo?
Oh, of course there is.
Okay.
We still are dealing with in the small sample size world.
Yeah.
But what do we know about him as a quarterback? Well, that he took a really bad team and made them less bad, and that a lot of people find him really good looking. I don't know if that's the standard, but no, it's myth making of the first order that he now has to back up. He looked real good in 5 games that nobody was paying any attention to, but now comes the heavy lifting. And the heavy lifting is being Jimmy Garoppolo when defensive coordinators have had a full summer to figure out what that means. So, yeah, of course we've overrated him, but that's what we do.
Ray, you're not overrated.
Well, give it time. I think you'll feel differently.
By Monday, I could, but right now you are not overrated. You got up early for us, and I appreciate that, Ray.
Well, I was sort of hoping that Fritzy would do about 5 minutes of his tight 20 set. I didn't get that, so I'll have to cope with it.
That would put you back to sleep, Ray.
Well, it would put me to the bottle and eventually to sleep. You're right.
Thank you, Ray. That's Ray Ratto, NBC Sports Bay Area. Covers the Warriors. He covers San Francisco sports.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.